Welcome back and thank you for staying with KTN Prime. My guests are still here with me, Diana Gishengo, Executive Director, TISA Kenya, and Kevin Osido, Executive Director, County Governance Watch. Osido, before we went for a break, you wanted to add to the point, but as you add to the point, let's talk about the issue of intimidation. Media has also been intimidated. Yesterday, we saw them being tear-gassed while reporting this issue. I mean, who will reprimand these institutions?
Actually, as a measure of good governance, states and all governments get ranked, and there are special institutions that do this kind of work. And even as they do the ranking in terms of how you score in your good governance, your democracy, or whatever system you have, the supportive institutions become a focus in this ranking. So the media, as a fourth estate, becomes a focal picture that you look at. And what you look at from some of the interactions that I have had is basically how the states or governments treat the media. And it goes into not just reporting and how they engage with the police and all that, even the consumption of that information. Like in the most recent past, I have had people now praising the Standard as if Standard is just born yesterday. This newspaper has been there for many years.
Started in 1902.
But look at the headlines that you guys now today is echoes of oppression. Is exciting to people. And that is something that you look at. How do you use the media to communicate? Truth of the matter is that the Kenya Kwanza government has not taken advantage of the media to be able to bring out a better side of the government. And the president has been quite frank about this. He's even told us that his communication team is letting him down. He doesn't understand what they are doing. We have seen reshuffles and transfers even within that particular docket within the president's office and in some of the ministries. So the media and what we are currently being treated to, the intimidation and this stifling of media freedom becomes a focus to partners and friends who are interested in this country. And the government needs to be aware that other people are watching. There's going to be a day when awards are going to be given. And these awards are from Nobel laureates. These awards are from Mo Ibrahim. These awards could be from TISA Kenya. As for us, County Governance Watch awarding county governments, now we even get excited to want to begin to award the national government. And then we say, you did poorly in terms of engaging with the media. You should have used the media to share with Kenyans your policies, your programs. If they are saying Shisha is not working, use the media. Ask Standard Group to do a proper headline and say Shisha is working. Then people will be excited and they'll be like, what is this turn of tone and of stature as well. But to an extent where we want to use fear, we want to weaponize fear and use it to threaten people and to make people feel like no one cares for them and about them in their country. I don't think that is proper. And so intimidation, therefore, is a mechanism that is being used by those who think that they wield a lot of power. But we also have a history of people who have been in government and they have left those offices. How would you want to be treated when you're no longer president? How would you want to be treated? We used to have a very powerful principal secretary for the Ministry of Communication. Not more than 2 months ago. I've not heard about Professor now. And even right now, in the same measure that you treat people, the same measure would be given back to you. 100-fold, pressed down and rolling over. So Kenyans we really need to engage among ourselves, form strong networks, and I like the manner in which now information is passed. Kitu kikitokelezea hapa, it is already on X, it is already on WhatsApp, and that is the only way in my view. So mainstream media, social media is a mechanism therefore that Kenyans will adapt to be able to fight back. And already it is happening. For example, when the Standard newspaper says echoes of oppression, is borrowed from echoes of war. And so you ask yourself, what does this mean? So the government, in my view, needs to begin to think through how to take advantage of some of these mechanisms, not necessarily to be able to prove certain lengths or angles of strength, because of course, no one can fight a government. But Kenyans have actually proven that you can fight a government and win.
Yeah.
We recalled courtesy of Gen Zs and a majority of Kenyans, a fake, improper finance bill. The president himself came up and said, this thing, I agree with you guys. So there are lessons that we need to be learning, and the government, in my view, need not to be seen to be strangling some of these freedoms by intimidating people, stifling freedom, weaponizing opportunities and spaces, like drama, in my view. In fact, I was asking, as I finish myself, where would Lupita Nyong'o be if she were in Butere Girls today? People like Raymond Ofula, who has scripted, acted, up to Netflix, Hollywood, whatever it is. Where would those kind of people be if they were beaten, tear-gassed, and all this intimidation done to them? So, in my view, it is an opportunity, actually, that we have as a country. And because Kenya Kwanza government came and told us we are a hustler government, a majority of those who are in the arts industry, and I stand to be corrected, are hustling to make it in life. Because even in this country, we don't have proper policies that protect those who are in the art industrial sphere. The sports is going through a similar issue. Look at what the CS for sports had to go through, wherever he was today with young people. And, and they were asking him, hizi stadiums zenye mnasema ziko wapi? Where are these funds? And the CS had to say, nyewe mimi sikuwa hapo. I just came up and this is my first engagement or whatever.
But there needs to be transition, right?
So we need to learn from what Kenyans are sharing and what people are saying, and just step back and humble yourself and say, I want to be part and parcel of you. All these writings that you guys are doing on X and on WhatsApp and all this information you are sharing, I want you to help me to consume it. And there is no problem somebody in power coming down and saying, let's do it together. Okay. Let's build this country together, because it is all our Kenya.
Okay, now I want us to shift focus from the issue of Butere Girls. I mean, it's been an interesting couple of few days. It was last Friday that the former CS Justin Muturi was at one of the media houses and said that the president is unfit to lead. Then Monday, we saw the former deputy president, Rigathi Gachagua, come up with damning allegations about what government is doing. Let's start with that. I mean, as a Kenyan, what did you make of all those allegations, Diana?
First and foremost, when the allegation by Muturi was made that the president is unfit to run the country, I was like, okay. Write your affidavit like Mutu said. That is what first crossed my mind. Because Justin Muturi is, has been a member of parliament or has been a magistrate.
Yes.
Has run a law firm. Was the Speaker of the National Assembly. During the Jubilee era, had anything happened to the president and the deputy president,
he would be our president.
He would be our president. So vetted to understand and meet the threshold of a patriot, and became the official legal advisor. So when he says that, and having sat in those meetings as a magistrate, I'm sure he was used to making assessment. So I'm assuming he has done a good assessment before he came on TV. So, Justin Muturi, based on what you know, can you give us your affidavit? So that we start collecting evidence that shows that the president is not fit to run. And the things that he raises around corruption, around undue influence, conflict of interest, and so on, are gross violation of the Constitution. They are very, very weighty issues. He raises them at that particular point, and he also says for him he tried to document within when he was in cabinet. That is a good thing, but he can't stop there. Those are very, very grave accusations and very, very concerning. There has been all this discussion and lots of allegation in the media by individuals across different sectors, the health sector, the housing sector, the catering sector, and so on, that there have been allegations that the presidency has had a lot of improper dealing, the border on conflict of interest, and a lot of things that are created to benefit that particular political class. As somebody who works at TISA and around the economy and budgets, if that is true, it is at the heart of our problem. We say our problem is deep-seated and deep-rooted corruption, not so much the high debt and the high tax that we must pay.
All right.
It is an expenditure problem. So if that is true, we need immediately to get into an inquiry.
Okay, so an affidavit then leads to the next process, which is an inquiry.
An inquiry, that is if Parliament is not willing to take up the process, because the people who should discipline and take up these matters very seriously is Parliament.
But Parliament has been accused to be, you know, an extension of the executive.
I will give them the opportunity, because if then that does not work, the Constitution does not ever envisage a vacuum. If that is prepared and it is heavy enough, it can also be litigated on.
Okay.
It can also be litigated on, and if that does not work, I can assure you, the fact that the power lies with the people, you will see interpretation of the Constitution that will allow the people to do their own inquiry around this particular matter.
Okay.
But it is extremely grave and injurious to the image of this country, to even the image of the presidency. The things that Muturi said, then come the former deputy president. Oh my God. Oh my God. Jesse was brave. You know, it felt, luckily he was in a suit. He was seated very well and comfortably. And I think the thing that really saved us was Jesse's English. He went his parents.
And the comfort that he gained from the changing of posture.
Yeah, because
like he was getting shocked and surprised, but was like, okay, let me just maintain
Compose.
my cool. Yeah, let me just remain here.
It is like a chama yenye imevunjwa na tumeibiwa pesa yetu. Tumwage kila kitu hapa. Yet this is a country that has so much to be protected.
Yeah.
Oh my
God.
God.
You know that in some jurisdictions, what the former Attorney General said would have actually led into two things, or maybe three things. That one, the president would have resigned. Number two, for countries that have proper gangs, like somewhere where part of our officers are, that country would have been overtaken. We'd be talking about other things today. The third thing is that citizens would actually form their own tribunal and take over the government. The beauty about what we are enjoying and why we have these spaces to even hear about very high level ranking officials speak like this is because of Article 33 that we talked about. Freedom of expression, we have certain rights that have been guaranteed by the Constitution, Article 35, access to information and all these things. The only failure, in my view, which is what I see as a gap in terms of good governance, because this is a segment we are engaging in, is that we have very weak institutions. And even the institutions that want to try and become and remain strong, like the judiciary, get stifled and get reprimanded, quote unquote, on a daily basis by certain similar institutions, like the executive. So that, for example, the legislature, by right now, the chair of JLAC should be telling his members, what do we do about the allegations raised by the former deputy president and the former attorney general?
But no one is saying anything.
No one is saying anything. Why? Because the legislature is seemingly either bought or is in bed with the executive, or certain handshakes that do not support the interest of the citizen are taking over. But I was a little bit surprised that the president actually seemingly responded to some of these allegations during his Mount Kenya tour, which means, therefore, that there are things that the president knows that these two gentlemen know about him, and that these two gentlemen also know that the president knows that he knows about them. Which is why, despite even calls of people saying, let him be arrested. Kwani huyu jamaa kuna nini? Who does he think he is? But he's walking so free, and in fact he's daring them and saying, arrest me. Come and arrest me. Because we have weak institutions that even if you were to say DCI, come and record a statement, Diana is saying we need evidence. But we have an institution in this country that is paid by taxpayers that is supposed to help us deal with evidence issues and mechanisms of acquiring that evidence. Why are we not seeing action? So in my view, and probably politically speaking, we are yet to see more of this. And somebody was telling me somewhere, Kevin Osido, we need to pray so that as many cabinet secretaries either resign or are fired, so that we know exactly what is going on, either at the presidency or within this country.
I like the fact that you've brought it out, because yes, people are saying that, but let's not forget, and Diana, because you're a lawyer, this is where you come in. I mean, there are those that are saying that the former deputy president and the former CS violated the oath of secrecy. But as Osido has just said, we now want to know what is happening. Is this oath of secrecy a double-edged sword for the country? Because if this is the little that has come out, imagine what is in the shadows.
The oath of secrecy is only a double-edged sword because of the character of people we have. If the allegations by the deputy president and Butere are true, they took too long. They took too long. Because the Constitution, Chapter 6, and the Leadership and Integrity Act requires state officers and public officers, they cannot aid an illegality. But there the bar is so high, imagine they are not even allowed to have bank accounts outside the country.
Yet we have many.
Yet most of them, you can imagine, they keep stashing their money abroad. They have so many restrictions. That is why they must be cleared before getting to the airport.
Okay.
So that bar is extremely high. The oath of secrecy cannot be used to aid criminality. And please note, whereas they take the oath of secrecy as the cabinet, ultimately, every state officer and every public officer in this country, including the Chief Justice, the President, and everybody else, their ultimate accountability is to the people of Kenya. Now, if the oath of secrecy is causing you to lower your level of service and accountability to the people of Kenya, it cannot be used as a defense.
Okay.
Because these are criminalities. The things we've had from the allegations that are being made by Rigathi and by Butere are criminalities. The oath of secrecy at that point must be waived.
Okay.
It must be immediately waived. And even think about other careers. Okay? You've seen doctors struggle with medical procedures where they are put under duress to inflict, say, somebody to lose their life or certain things that are irregular. They are bound by a very strong oath of their profession.
All right.
But you cannot balance public interest and this small oath of secrecy. The oath of secrecy is to allow things to run properly as we caucus. Do not go and shout what we are planning. But there must be good plans. The minute it is an illegality,
they need to shout.
They must immediately speak up, and I hope there are no cabinet secretaries who are still in government with our tax money who are aiding this, because accountability is contextual. And where this government has taken us, the minute they leave, we will jail one after the other. The evidence is available. The people have a way of causing the institution to finally come together and respond. Okay. Accountability will finally be meted against these people. We are not going to give up because they keep beating us and killing us. Finally, they will pay for the pain, the theft, and the blood that they have taken from the Kenyan people. You cannot steal to that extent. And based on the fact that they are not allowed to hold bank accounts outside the country, why would we be signing contracts in airport?
Dubai.
All right, let's not go there, Diana. But in the interest of time,
Yeah.
Osido, I'll let you have the last word. I mean, so then, if all these allegations are true, how do we release the country from the shackles of misgovernance? Keep in mind, on one end, we have public who are struggling, MPs getting a pay rise. We have election observers questioning sudden addition of 6 IEBC commissioners, and there's so much happening. How do we remove ourselves from that and uphold this constitution in 2 minutes or one?
One, let us adhere to the rule of law.
Okay.
When it says that we have a deadline on applications for commissioners of IEBC, the deadline imefika, please don't circumvent because you know the chair, you go to the same church, or because you did some contract someday and you are both paid. So you think that that will earn you some credit, bonga points before Kenyans. Number two, let's be accountable. I read a number of books from other jurisdictions, and these are people who say, if you are a public officer or a state, public servant or a state officer, and there is an allegation of you having bridled or raised a hand on corruption or any corrupt dealings, you just resign, even if it is just an allegation. And it's because they have very highly raised bars of accountability. Number three, let's just be transparent in our dealings again. If children want to go and act and you have issues with it, declare that I am the director, regional director of education, for example, and I have gone through this script. I don't like page 17, so find a way of navigating. I have just declared my interests that that page is seemingly touching on me.
Okay.
And that if there are questions that Kenyans are raising, don't fight them. Just come over because you are one of them, and our constitution has term limits for why you are in that office.
Okay.
Siku moja hautakuwa hapo.
This conversation is not ending today. Of course, I'll invite you to again so that we can continue evaluating what exactly is happening in the country and the state of governance. Thank you, lady and gent. Diana Gishengo, Executive Director, TISA Kenya, and Kevin Osido, Executive Director, County Governance Watch. And thank you for your company. That's how we wrap things up here on KTN Prime. I'm Ashley Mazuri on behalf of Jesse Rogers and Marisha Witi. Good night.